Hi, and welcome to Hams Radio. I am Hams. Before we get started, I do just want to say, whether you are new or returning viewer, I do appreciate your support. If you are new to my channel is all about finding a life after trauma. I will be showing the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to this healing journey. So if that sounds like something that would add some positivity to your life, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell so you don't miss out on what I'm doing over here. Today's video, I will be going over the 9 traits of borderline personality disorder, and I will be reading directly from the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for mental disorders. So DSM-5, so there's no confusion about these, because I didn't realize how much misinformation was out there. I didn't realize there was a stigma when it comes to borderline personality disorder. So I'm gonna read directly out of borderline personality disorder in the DSM-5, which I have right here. I have it on my computer. So I'll be reading straight from that. Okay, I'm gonna give an overview of the nine, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail, and then I'll add some of my own stories at the end of the more detailed portion. So borderline personality disorder, as defined in the DSM-5, is a pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, of self-image and affects, and marked impulsivity beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts as indicated by 5 or more of the following. Meaning you have to have 5 of the following of the 9 traits in order to qualify, or however you want to put that. Number 1, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Number 2, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. Number 3, identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. Number 4, impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. Number 5, recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. Affective instability due to marked reactivity of mood. Number 7, chronic feelings of emptiness. Number 8, inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Number 9, transient, stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. I have all 9 traits, and I will be going into further detail now. And this is, again, I'm just reading straight out of the DSM-5, straight out of it. So now getting into more detail. Number 1, individuals with borderline personality disorder make frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, the perception of impending separation or rejection, or the loss of external structure can lead to profound changes in self-image, affect, cognition, and behavior. These individuals are very sensitive to environmental circumstances. They experience intense abandonment fears and inappropriate anger, even when faced with realistic, time-limited separation, or when there are unavoidable changes in plans, like sudden despair in reaction to a clinician's announcing the end of the hour, or panic or fury when someone important to them is just a few minutes late or must cancel an appointment. They may believe that this abandonment applies that they are bad. These abandonment fears are related to an intolerance of being alone and a need to have other people with them. Their frantic efforts to avoid abandonment may include impulsive actions such as self-mutilation or suicidal behaviors, which are described separately in Criterion 5. So the example I wanted to give with that for the fear of abandonment, like it said, it's fear or perceived. And so as it mentioned, the people running late. So the thought process that goes through my head when people are running late, my anxiety shoots up. I think thoughts like, let's see, maybe they forgot, which means they forgot about me, they forgot about our meeting, they forgot we were going to meet up, they forgot we were going to do something because I'm not important enough to be remembered. I imagine they lost track of time. Again, going back to feeling like I'm not important enough for other people to remember. And so I fear that they're just going to leave me hanging. Also, I've caught myself being uncomfortable if, like, my roommate leaves the room. If I don't know what my roommate is doing, I will find some excuse in my head that will bring me into the other room so I can be with them. I know, I've caught myself after I've moved rooms and been like, what the fuck? And I'll mention it, like, you know what just happened? And so I am uncomfortable with being alone, especially if there is somebody else in the vicinity. Being alone is much, much harder. It's a lot easier being alone if there is no one to interact with. If there is someone to interact with, it's very hard for me to be in another room, not be around them. Number 2, individuals with borderline personality disorder have a pattern of unstable and intense relationships. They may idolize potential caregivers or lovers at the first or second meeting, demand to spend a lot of time together, and share the most intimate details early in a relationship. However, they may switch quickly from idealizing other people to devaluing them, feeling that the other person does not care enough, does not give enough, or is not there enough. These individuals can empathize with and nurture other people, but only with the expectation that the other person will be there in return to meet their own needs on demand. These individuals are prone to sudden and dramatic shifts in their view of others, who may alternatively be seen as beneficent, support, or as cruelly punitive. Such shifts often reflect disillusionment with a caregiver whose nurturing qualities had been idolized or whose rejection or abandonment is expected. So this is what splitting refers to. I know I mentioned it in one of my other videos. Flip-flopping from believing one person is all good to now they have become all bad in my head. So there will be a depending, and like the intensity of that, like I know I get intensity splitting. Sometimes I'll split hard. There have been people that I have, because of what they've done or the situation or whatever, I've made 100% bad and they've never recovered. They're not in my life. That's when I go and block everything. I go, I don't need you in my life at all. So splitting. If a person does a good deed, they're 100% good. If a person does a bad deed, they're 100% bad. I hope that makes sense. And it could be the same person can go back and forth for me. And again, anything I'm saying, it presents or manifests, or however you want to say that, differently between people that are diagnosed with this. So it's not going to present the same. It's not always going to look the same. This is just how it's looking in me, like how it manifests, how it comes out with me. Number 3. There may be an identity disturbance characterized by markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. There are sudden and dramatic shifts in self-image characterized by shifting goals, values, and vocational aspirations. There may be sudden changes in opinions and plans about career, sexual identity, values, and types of friends. These individuals may suddenly change from the role of a needy supplicant for help. What the hell? For help to that. Oh. Okay. Change from the role of a needy supplicant for help to that of a righteous avenger of past mistreatment. Although they usually have self-image that is based on being evil or bad, individuals with this disorder may at times have feelings that they do not exist at all. Some experiences usually occur in situations in which the individual feels a lack of meaningful relationship, nurturing, and support. These individuals may show worse performance in unstructured work or school situations. I don't know if this counts, but I took a personality test today, and I've always just had a lot of difficulty with personality tests, or when I have to know myself and answer questions. And I honestly don't know if that's normal. Do people usually have trouble? I've always had a lot of issues answering questions about myself. And figured that's not normal. 5 months ago, though, I would have had difficulty answering most, if not all. So I thought that was interesting. Number 4. Individuals with borderline personality disorder display impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. They may gamble, spend money irresponsibly, binge eat, abuse substances, engage in unsafe sex, or drive recklessly. I have done all of those. The gambling is the only thing that really isn't a huge deal, and I typically can keep control over my money. The binge eating, the substances, unsafe sex, and driving recklessly is what I definitely went crazy on. Individuals with this disorder display, oops, never mind. That was jumping into number 5. So, example, I have 2 DUIs. One of them came out of a terrible accident. I got on my motorcycle, I went down on the freeway, and I'd been drinking, so I got a DUI for that. So I definitely fit into this criteria. I mean, that's just one example. There's way more than that. Say number 5. Criteria number 5. Individuals with this disorder display recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. Completed suicide occurs in 8 to 10% of such individuals, and self-mutilative acts, like cutting or burning, and suicide threats and attempts are very common. Recurrent suicidality is often the reason that these individuals present for help. These self-destructive acts are usually precipitated by threats of separation or rejection, or by expectations that the individual assumes increased responsibility. Self-mutilation may occur during dissociative experiences and often brings relief by reaffirming the ability to feel or by expiating. I don't know what that word is. The individual's sense of being evil. So when it comes to the suicide thoughts, I grew up with this overwhelming sense of shame when it came to self-mutilation and suicidal thoughts. So I never admitted to it, even to myself. I kind of just blew them off, but I would often get urges to just drive my vehicle into the like the dividers on freeways. Like I would be like, oh, I wonder if you even could do it. I wonder if you could even do it. Or would you survive? And like not that I wanted to die, it was more of a but the one thing that that definitely prevented me from doing that is the little bit of healthy dose of narcissism that I have inside me. Everyone is a sliding scale, so everyone has narcissistic traits. The narcissistic traits that I have ask me, well, you can't see who's gonna mourn you when you're dead. You can't see who comes to your funeral when you're dead. How can you enjoy all this love that you feel like you deserve? I know, and I know that's contradictory to this behavior, but I have a lot of contradictory thoughts or beliefs that just collide. I don't know, it's weird. So that would keep me from doing anything, because how will I know I'm loved if I'm dead? Which is, I'm gonna guess. And I have self-mutilated in the past. It's been a very, very long time since high school. I only did it a couple times. So I don't even know if that would even fit into this. Who knows? Okay, number 6, criterion number 6. Individuals with borderline personality disorder may display affective instability that is due to a marked reactivity of mood. So, for example, intense episodic dysphoria. Dysphoria is like a state of uneasiness. Irritability or anxiety usually lasts in a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. The basic dysphoric mood of those with borderline personality disorder is often disrupted by periods of anger, panic, or despair, and is rarely relieved by periods of well-being or satisfaction. These episodes may reflect the individual's extreme reactivity to interpersonal stresses. So number 6, example. I didn't really write anything down for this one. But let's see. So yesterday, for example, I had the last couple of days actually, I've had a definitely intense dysphoria. I was definitely very uneasy last couple of days. I didn't really know why. Well, I have a clue or two. But there was nothing I could do that really made me feel better, which made me very, yesterday was just not a good day for me. But I got through it, didn't break anything, so we good. Number 7, individuals with borderline personality disorder may be troubled by chronic feelings of emptiness. So the drugs and the alcohol helped temporarily fill that emptiness. It was it was like a search for something. And alcohol and drugs kind of silenced it a little bit, made it a little bit more bearable, made it so that I wasn't really feeling it as much. This hole that I'm always searching to fill. Now, when I started this journey, what I noticed was healing has filled this hole, at least gives me this feeling of filling the hole as I'm figuring out more permanent things to fit in there. I don't know. But the healing is way stronger than the drugs or alcohol had ever been for me. And I feel like because healing is now taking over this, I found what I needed to do, which was healing. And now I'm getting that hole kind of filled up. I'm getting soothed. Everything's being soothed. That was definitely a trigger or being triggered beforehand. So the need for drugs, the need for alcohol kind of fell off once the reason I was drinking, the reason I was using drugs actually went away. That anxiety, the driving lostness, the driving emptiness is no longer there. At least I know what I'm doing. I know how to fill it up. And so intuitively, or however you want to say that, I don't need alcohol. I don't need drugs anymore. Number 8, easily bored. Oh, shit. Well, this is going on the end of the chronic feelings of emptiness. Easily bored, they may constantly seek something to do. So I was constantly seeking shit to do, and the alcohol and drugs were helping that. And now healing is really itching that scratch. So now I no longer want alcohol or drugs. Number 8, individuals with this disorder frequently express inappropriate, intense anger or have difficulty controlling their anger. I will have bursts of anger. I had a couple yesterday. They may feel extreme sarcasm, enduring bitterness, or verbal outbursts. The anger is often elicited when a caregiver or lover is seen as neglectful, withholding, uncaring, or abandoning. Such expressions of anger are often followed by shame and guilt and contribute to the feeling they have of being evil. So yay. Because how do I put this? I will view other people's actions as them purposely trying to be in my way, purposely trying to inconvenience me, purposely going slow to make me frustrated. So I will take other people's actions and just take them way too fucking personally. And so I'll have these little bursts of anger come out when I feel like I'm being slighted. Example, so growing up, I always sat on one side of the dinner table growing up. And in my head, my stepdad knows this. He knows how much I do not like being on the other side. And during an event, we had assigned seats or whatever, which happens, for holidays or whatever. And he had put me on the opposite side. I fucking lost it. I was so fucking mad. I could not believe he did this to me. I could not believe he put me on the wrong side of the table. He knows I go on the other side. He knows what side I like. He did this on purpose. He did this specifically to make me upset. That is how I looked at it. That is how I look at situations when I'm inconvenienced. I take it as a personal insult. I don't know. I don't know why. But I am aware of when I'm extremely fucking activated for a dumb reason. Like, I know the seat, like where I sit, it's a dumb reason. Even in the moment, I knew it was a dumb reason. But I could not get my emotions to get on board. My emotions ran off like he fucking killed my dog. That's how I felt. I felt so just, and in that moment, he was split, I split, I was splitting. He became the devil, so the splitting is, he did that, I hated him in the moment. It was just these rush of emotions. I don't hate him. I like him. He's very kind and very enjoyable. I like him as a stepdad. But in that moment, I just wanted to rip his face off. But I knew that in the moment, that was just too much. So I just sat there and fumed. I will more than likely turn any anger inwards. I don't completely understand why. I would imagine growing with the 10 months with my biological father, I wasn't allowed to do much. Anything I did, I needed to make sure it wasn't going to piss him off. So any anger, any feelings, I would have to direct inwards. And so it's just what I do. I direct all the anger inwards. I may give you a fucking eyeball or something, or want to just tell you off, but I know if I try to do that, I will start crying. And I hate crying. I hated crying. And so it's just too much emotions that I can't do anything without crying. Crying's extremely weak. That's what I grew up learning. Crying was extremely weak. So if I were to do anything that caused me to cry, now I'm weak. So do everything in my power not to let this get to a point where I am crying. Because I ugly cry, man. You've seen me. If you haven't, watch some of my other videos. Cool. I cannot even remember what my train of thought was. So we're going to continue to criterion 9. During periods of extreme stress, transient paranoid ideation or dissociative symptoms, depersonalization may occur. But these are generally or insufficient severity or duration. But these are generally of insufficient severity or duration to warrant an additional diagnosis. These episodes occur more frequently in response to a real or imagined abandonment. Symptoms tend to be transient, lasting minutes or hours. The real or perceived return of the caregiver's nurturance may result in a remission of symptoms. What little gem do I have written down for this one? Okay, so during periods of extreme stress, when I worked at LA Fitness as the personal training director for about 14 months, starting in 2019, quit in 2020. A month in, my hair started falling out. My blood pressure was high as fuck. And during that time, I'd gone to see a therapist because reality wasn't feeling like reality. And I told him that. I didn't know the words to explain it. I didn't know this was dissociation. And I told him that sometimes reality just felt different. Reality was not the same. Reality felt weird. I don't know what else. I just didn't know how else to say it. And he didn't help, and he didn't help me. He did not help me, so I ended up quitting. But that was 2 years ago. I'm just trying to understand what part of any of my words did not alarm him. I told him I think I was losing touch with reality and I have mental illness in my fucking family, and he's still not gonna follow up on that. I don't know if that's how I don't know. I'm just bitching. So, those are the 9 symptoms or 9 traits. Oh, by the way, when I quit that job also, 1 month after, everything returned to normal. My reality thing it didn't subside all the way immediately, but it definitely got a lot better. My hair went back to normal, and my blood pressure is fucking good now too. So those are the 9 traits of borderline personality disorder. If you found anything helpful in this video whatsoever, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss out on what's going on. A lot of my content going forward will be about borderline personality disorder because of how much it's been affecting my life, and I'd like it to stop. So I will be sharing tips, things, I have no idea, good, bad, and ugly of everything I'm doing over here. So without further ado, we'll talk next time. I'm gonna smoke this. Have a good one, guys. Until next time.